Hello, my name is Gabrielle Crudell, and I am presenting my exercise program for my fitness education capstone. To create a training program to meet the needs and goals of a client and or athlete, one must evaluate the individual's health and wellness levels to understand and aid them in reaching goals that they want to achieve. And there are two primary assessments when doing this. First is the PAR-Q, which is a general health history. And this is actually a form that your client would fill out prior to any exercise program or doing any exercises. The second is the functional movement screen, also known as FMS. And these are actually functional motions that you would do, you would show, and then your client would perform in order for you to assess their mobility and their stability. Now, the goals of these assessments are to find appropriate goals for your clients. It's important to remember that goals need to be attainable and safe, and then it's also to ensure an exercise prescription that could reach those goals without any injury. Another assessment that is available for us to utilize in this industry is a physician release. And this is when, maybe there's concern about an extremely obese client or a client that really scores very low on FMS or has suffered from injuries. It allows a physician to clear them and gives us that peace of mind when we're working with them, or creates an awareness of any other issues that we need to be aware of for our clients. Now, my client is Antonio Manaki. He is a 32-year-old father and a director of a gym. And he lives a very active lifestyle and has a great base knowledge in regards to exercise technique, the importance of following a program all the way through to the end, and also just overall safety when exercising. So it was a great opportunity for me to work with someone who has a great knowledge base themselves, but also being able to bring my own knowledge and information to our sessions. Now, this is a PAR-Q, and this is actually an example of my client's PAR-Q. And I show you this because it gives you a great opportunity for you to see that even someone who's a part of the exercise world and industry, and his cardiovascular risk factors marks does not know blood pressure, don't know cholesterol, and the body mass index that would be considered obese. This would be an opportunity for us to, suggest a physician release, because these are non-scale victories that we can actually see and improvements that we can see in, because they will check blood pressure, they will check cholesterol. And so when they were to go back, and if they were to go back, they could see the improvements there from the exercise program. But again, just a great base knowledge to really understand the health history of your client. It's very important to know if they've had any heart issues or they have any lung breathing issues and things like that. Now, FMS, the functional movement screen, measures 7 fundamental movements that are key to everyday life. These are functional movements. It helps us walk, bend down to pick something up, but it's also movements that we see in every exercise that we do. You'll see these movements throughout. It measures and gives us feedback on mobility and stability of our clients. And so that you have a score of 1, 2, or 3. 3 being optimal, means that the client can perform the movement, they have great mobility and stability. 2 being acceptable, they can perform the movement, but maybe not to the absolute perfection. And 1 being dysfunctional, meaning that the client either cannot perform the movement at all, or there's pain when they perform the movement. And this means, if they're scoring a 1 or 2, it's because mobility or stability are not there. And so those are things that prior to any exercise program, the client would need to work on in order to ensure safety when performing any exercises, with especially adding weights and the bar. So to achieve higher levels of fitness and performance in order to reach client goals, FMS is really an essential part of an assessment. Now, this is actually some pictures of my client performing some of his FMS, and Antonio actually suffered an injury outside of the exercise program to his shoulder. And so you see in this program, the pre-injury shoulder is the picture behind. He has a lot of stability and mobility, great range of motion, and you see his fingertips touching. But then in the picture in front, you see he has very limited mobility. So he actually scored a 3 the first time we did the FMS, but we did have to reevaluate after the injury. And it's important to remember you can reevaluate and do another FMS, especially when a client's maybe their health, their overall health, something changes like an injury. So you see he went from a 3 to a 1 because there was pain associated. He didn't have that same range of motion. He couldn't touch his fingertips together. And then on the other side, you see other pictures, and you see he scored a 3 on the deep squat. And some of the other functional movements. Now, the FMS, there's 7 movements: the deep squat, the hurdle step, the inline lunge, the active straight leg raise, trunk stability push up, shoulder mobility, and rotary stability. Antonio's trunk stability, because of his injury, also changed slightly. He went from having a 3 in trunk stability in the trunk stability push up to a 2. He was still able to complete the motion. He said there was not pain associated with it, but he couldn't complete the motion all the way through because he didn't have that stability in the shoulder. So it's also good to know that some of these functional movements, one will affect the other. Now, the program itself consists of many parts. The first thing we start with are goals. And it's important to make sure that we are setting safe, attainable goals with our clients. We want to keep what their needs in mind, but we also want to make sure, as the professionals in this field, that these goals can be attained, because you can't, and in a safe manner. So goals are something to be set prior to beginning any exercise program. My client Antonio has an extensive knowledge and training, but unfortunately, he struggles with a hectic schedule and hasn't really had the time to properly plan his own program. After looking at his pre-programmed tests, Antonio's focus would be on body fat loss, in which he would not be only accountable for a specified workout regimen, but also a specified diet in order to meet this goal. Now, Antonio falls in the obese category of the BMI chart. So I put a BMI chart, as here you can see. He is 5'11", and he is over 220. So as you can see, if you went down, this BMI chart only goes to 215, but you can see that linear progression. So he falls in the obese category, in the orange category. Now, the other thing, the other goal was to attain measurable weight loss. So that was how we obviously want to lose the weight. So we want to see that fat loss and that weight loss on the scale. We want to build lean muscle. And we want to see those non-scale victories. And for non-scale victories, I mean things like clothes fitting looser. If we go back to our physician release, having a physician say blood cholesterol went down or blood pressure went down. So it's important to remember that there are non-scale victories that we will see. Being able to, go heavier on your weights. Being able to do more repetitions, not getting so tired during the aerobic exercises, all non-scale victories. And it's important to remind our clients that, especially for fat loss and weight loss, it is not linear. So you want to ensure them that non-scale victories are just as important as those, as the weight on the scale. Now, client goals are essential when beginning the program, but there are also a lot of other components to the periodization of an exercise program that must be met in order to get ideal results and peak performances from a client. So we have 2 mesocycles. With exercise selection, order, frequency, intensity, duration, the week-to-week progression, and we did ours in a linear periodization. We had 2 mesocycles of 4 weeks, which we created, and the first mesocycle focused on muscular endurance and hypertrophy. We did increasing intensity each day and each week. The second mesocycle focused on endurance, hypertrophy, power, and strength. So a lot more focus there. And then we also organized the workouts as follows. We did a lower body day, followed by an upper body day, followed by an aerobic day, a rest day, upper body, lower body, rest day. And those rest days are very important to ensure that we are letting our bodies have the proper recovery. The second mesocycle included additional aerobic days. So we followed those same upper body, then lower body, aerobic, upper body, lower body, rest day. And this was because the client's goal is weight loss. So it's essential in weight loss to make sure we're burning calories. And so we wanted to make sure that we included, and we had a change up. So we still had aerobic days. We just added additional aerobic days to continue with the weight loss. Now, because the client's experienced and knows proper technique and exercises, the program included a variety of exercises: power exercises, resistance exercises, aerobic exercises, plyometric exercises, and we included things like compound sets. A compound set is when you work the same muscle group with two different exercises. So things like the hammer curl followed by the bicep curl, or deadlifts followed by good mornings. Both are working the same muscle groups. And so we're working on muscle fatigue to really work and fatigue that muscle. And so here you see a few clips of the mesocycles of the program. Heavy upper body days were followed with light intensity lower body plyometric exercises on that same day, and vice versa, where we had maybe it was a lighter weight upper body day, so we did high intensity plyometric lower body. And we also increase the intensity and weight each day and each week by increasing the RM. And then the fourth week we would lower the intensity and have a one day that week be an RM or a max day, a PR day, to provide the client the ability to see progression, set new short-term goals, and set new short-term goals. This flow of intensity is a little more traditional and linear as well. So in the following two videos, we showed technique that we focused on. And this was to ensure we have a lower body. We focused on the hammer curl here. So we worked on this correction. And so you see me correcting the adjustments, him following through, and the lower body extremity here, lower body movement was the deadlift. And then here I give a little, it should be a top down. I show the correction, how the bar is closer. He needs to be closer to the bar, neutral spine, neutral head position, coming all the way up. And then again, we go through and we show him actually doing it with a heavier weight and actually doing correct form, making sure he squeezes the butt at the end. So. As a coach, understanding how to better prepare my athletes for upcoming seasons is essential. Their performance is not only dependent on their knowledge of the game, but also on the condition they are in order to perform. So, understanding and being able to put a program together that would help improve their overall performance is vital. And this is what I do. I have a team of currently coach a group of 16-year-old water polo boys, and so it is my job to make sure that they are physically prepared, not just knowing the game, but actually being physically prepared to perform. Then my husband also is planning, and we in the process of buying the Camp Transformation Center, which is a local gym. So again, this helps make sure that I can evaluate trainers and know that they are doing what they're supposed to do to help our clients. Now, scripture is very important because it's an important opportunity for us to realize the Lord in our work. And so these are actually four really great scriptures that I think really fit into what we do, being kinesiology majors, working in the exercise industry, coaching, whatever it is that you do. So the biggest one that stands out to me, all four are very important, but train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. And we are all children of God. And so I find this important because I am still a child of God. So I don't think it's just referring to my young children who I raise, to be good Christians and follow the Lord, but it's also for me as a person. And so training myself, training my body and my mind is just essential and part of and part of my faith. And then you'll see, and that's Proverbs 22:6. And I have a few other scriptures that really just mean a lot. Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. It just shows, that the importance of having goals. And this is something that exercise prescription does. It's important to have goals, to set it, and to follow through.